Parang wala yata yung audio.
Hello, yes po. Wait lang po.
Okay, sige. Akala ko may problem ako sa network.
Yeah, wait. Thank you po.
So this one, ano lang, no? Zoom lang talaga to, no? So we're not broadcasting to Facebook and all that.
Facebook din. Ayan.
Facebook din. Okay.
Yes. Ayan. Sige, good luck. Mag-live na tayo soon.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 16th episode of the Community Ignite series, AWS Certification Tips and Tricks.
So my name is Alvin Delagon, and I'm a solutions architect working for Amazon Web Services. Tips and tricks, strategies, and suggestions that I'm going to state here doesn't guarantee you passing the certification exam. All right. So, like the content here was developed from my own personal experience and not by Amazon Web Services. So, just also a little bit of background. So, these techniques that I developed over the years allowed me to pass 7 certifications already. Okay. So, sa in-role playing games, so what I'm saying is that first you try to understand what is your enemy is. So you identify the class. So in real life, diba? So what we do is that we identify the pillar. That's actually where we try to identify the objective and the context. Pagdating naman sa AWS certification, this is actually where you eliminate and choose answers. Either submit or mark for review.
Yes, thank you so much to our co-presenters, AWS and AWS Siklab Pilipinas.
Hi, I'm Sunil Yu, creator of the Cyber Defense Matrix. The endpoint is often seen as the front line against many cybersecurity threats. To help manage and secure the endpoint, AWS Marketplace provides many cloud-native endpoint security tools. On the preventative side, AWS Marketplace has a wide range of independent software vendors who provide endpoint protection capabilities, including having an up-to-date device inventory, enforcing configuration compliance, finding and managing vulnerabilities, and preventing malware from taking root on the endpoint. But prevention is never perfect, so it's important to consider capabilities that give you real-time and historical visibility to quickly detect, respond to, and recover from endpoint incidents. Tools in the category of endpoint detection and response, or EDR, help detect unauthorized activities, conduct forensic level analysis, and facilitate incident response activities to purge intrusions. When combined with the right threat intelligence, these tools can also help you hunt efficiently on your endpoint. Keep in mind that EDR tools don't run on their own, and you need capable administration that can put the tools to use to hunt and to accelerate investigations into security events.
Incident response is an organized approach to addressing and managing the threat or violation of security policies and standard practices. A quick response limits damage and reduces recovery time and costs. In the cloud, you need a systematic and organized approach. This includes detective and responsive controls to help you with prevention and to learn from previous incidents. Detective controls provide visibility and transparency over the operation of your AWS deployments. Responsive controls drive remediation of potential deviations from your security baseline. How can AWS help? We have Amazon CloudTrail, S3 Access, and VPC flow logs to track event history. Amazon Detective to investigate and determine root causes. And monitors such as Amazon Guard Duty, Macy, IAM Access Analyzer, Inspector, and Security Hub. In addition, Amazon Route 53 helps monitor health checks, and CloudWatch monitors for event alarms. You can even use Windows Events, Linux syslogs, and other application-specific log generation. These are just a few ways AWS is partnering with you to enable strong incident response. To learn more, go to aws.amazon.com/security.
I'm from Singapore.
From Vietnam.
AWS User Group Thailand.
I'm an AWS community builder.
I run the user group in Singapore as a community hero.
I'm an AWS community leader.
I love AWS community.
Go AWS. I'm so proud that all the group members are very proactive to support each other.
I'm really passionate about making artificial intelligence and machine learning more accessible.
I'm also one of the AWS machine learning heroes around the world.
It's a global, positive and diverse community.
ผมเป็น Amazon Web Service Community Hero ประจำประเทศไทยนะครับ
The love of the technology and the friendship in the community.
Go AWS.
Hindi, ayaw lang kumunik sa cellphone.
Incident response is an organized approach to addressing and managing the threat or violation of security policies and standard practices. A quick response limits damage and reduces recovery time and costs. In the cloud, you need a systematic and organized approach. This includes detective and responsive controls to help you with prevention and to learn from previous incidents. Detective controls provide visibility and transparency over the operation of your AWS deployments. Responsive controls drive remediation of potential deviations from your security baseline. How can AWS help? We have Amazon CloudTrail, S3 Access, and VPC flow logs to track event history. Amazon Detective to investigate and determine root causes. And monitors such as Amazon Guard Duty, Macy, IAM Access Analyzer, Inspector, and Security Hub. In addition, Amazon Route 53 helps monitor health checks, and CloudWatch monitors for event alarms. You can even use Windows events, Linux syslogs, and other application-specific log generation. These are just a few ways AWS is partnering with you to enable strong incident response. To learn more, go to aws.amazon.com/security.
I'm from Singapore.
From Vietnam.
AWS User Group Thailand.
I'm an AWS community builder.
I run the user group in Singapore as a community hero.
I'm an AWS community builder.
I love AWS community.
Go AWS.
I'm so proud that all the group members are very proactive to support each other.
I'm really passionate about making artificial intelligence and machine learning more accessible.
I am also one of the AWS machine learning heroes around the world.
It's a global, positive and diverse community.
ผมเป็น Amazon Web Service Community Hero ประจำประเทศไทยนะครับ
The love of the technology and the friendship in the community.
Go AWS.
Good evening and happy Friday, everyone. We are now live both in Zoom and our Facebook page. And welcome to the very first episode of the Siklab Igniter series co-presented by Edukasyon.ph and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. I am Atcha Abe. For those who have not met me yet, I am an AWS Siklab influencer and the technical community manager of Edukasyon.ph. And I will be your host for tonight. And if you have not have an idea yet of Edukasyon.ph, what is AWS Siklab Pilipinas, don't worry, I'm going to give you an introduction to that. So first, Edukasyon.ph is an edtech platform in the Philippines, empowering millions of Gen Z students ages 13 to 24 to make self-aware education decisions that lead to a fulfilling career and life. Edukasyon.ph has worked with hundreds of partners, schools, corporations, and foundations, including Amazon Web Services, to enable them to reach and engage with the student community along the journey from education to career. And with that, we would also like to introduce AWS Siklab Pilipinas. AWS Siklab Pilipinas aims to uplift fellow developers and professionals in the Philippines with industry leaders all over the world sharing their expertise in the field. And I am happy to join the AWS Influencer Program with also the goal of helping students, young professionals, and career shifters explore their opportunities in the cloud through the Siklab Igniter series. And this is also in celebration for our first anniversary of the Community Ignite series for successfully having 52 episodes every week. Ayan, I'm already done with the introduction, but before we begin, I am happy to announce that we have over 800 registrations for this event, and we can definitely feel your excitement to learn about today's topic. So for our let me just admit most our Zoom participants right now. We have over 200. It's counting the Zoom participants. Zoom room, our team will send the Zoom link in the chat so you can also receive an e-certificate. And while you're waiting in the waiting room, we're also live in our Facebook page, Atcha Abe. You can also feel free to share this live, tag your friends, comment in the chat section, and let everyone know and share the news that we have a free event for you tonight. Ayan. So I'm guessing we have participants from other parts of the Philippines and some from the country. So let us know by chatting. I believe most of you are already introducing yourselves. That's very good. And share your commenting your name, your profession, what company or school you represent. Please let us know. Ayan, and friendly reminder again for our Zoom participants, please mute your mic so we can avoid any distractions in our event. Ayan. Okay. read the comments in our Zoom chat. Also, I'm seeing the Facebook Live, so don't forget to also introduce yourself there. Ayan. So, hello from SCI College Calibo, says Renan. Stanley says that he is a first-year BSIT student from Tarlac State University. Ayan na, sunod-sunod na. Hello from PUP Manila, sabi ni Marie. Web developer from Clark Outsourcing. Hello from NEUST. We have here Eugene from BS Education Mathematics from Gordon College, Olongapo City. We have Mia from PUP Manila. Jay from C Apps. I can see we have a lot of students here, tech and non-tech topic, and we also have fellow developers. Also, let us know if you're a developer, put it in the chat box, and let us know what type of developer are you? Are you front-end developer, back-end developer, full stack? Are you a cybersecurity professional? So please let us know by putting in the chat box below. Welcome everyone. I'm still admitting more people. So again, if you'd like to receive an e-certificate, join our Zoom. It will be linked in our Facebook page as well. Ayan, again, don't forget to tag your friends so you can also share this opportunity with them. Ayan. And again, welcome to the very first Siklab Igniter series, also known as SIS or CIS. This is a new tech series hosted by our very own AWS Siklab influencers on their communities where we bring people to uplift fellow developers and professionals. So again, whether you're a student, a professional, or a career shifter, this series is made and is for you. So if you want to stay tuned for more events like these, don't forget to follow my socials Atcha Abe on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn to get more updates. Again, this event is for free and it comes with an e-certificate, and this is co-presented by Amazon Web Services and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. Ayan, all right. And if you want to learn more every week, every month, every day, possible na possible yan with AWS Siklab Pilipinas. And we want to make sure that you can learn for free and get up-to-date knowledge with cloud technology by following our socials. So don't forget to follow AWS Siklab Pilipinas on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We also have a QR code right here in the screen right now. You can just scan this to get all of our socials, follow them, and get updated. Ayan, going back to our chat, I've been currently seeing here, we have a professionals as well. We have a web full stack developer. Ayan, we have Francis, an iOS and Flutter mobile dev. All right, who else? We have full stack developers. Ayan, all right. Welcome everyone. Still admitting more people. Again, don't forget to join our Zoom room. Okay, so I know, Atcha, wag mo nang patagalin pa. Let's just get right into it and start with learning about cybersecurity today. And just to give a background, so us igniters in the program with AWS, we are given the opportunity to choose the topics that we want to share with you and with our platform and with our community. And personally, I'm very interested in cybersecurity. And before, when I started as a computer science student, I just graduated last June. Saka ko lang nalaman, or the only time that I realized that I wanted to learn or pursue a career in cybersecurity when I was in third year college. I was really interested to learn about information security. I really love to learn complex things in short, and I love doing research. I want to learn the current trends in technology, and cybersecurity is one of them. And that's why I also choose this topic, and I'm very happy our speaker is willing to share his experience and expertise with us. And now, of course, wait is over. Let me introduce our speaker for tonight. Our speaker is Alvin Delagon. He is a senior solutions architect and developer specialist at Amazon Web Services. So Alvin, you can come into the stage.
Hello, Atcha. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Hi, Alvin.
Hi. So let me just kick off my screen. So can anyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So hello, everyone. So as much as I wanted to show my face to you today, some circumstances doesn't allow me to do so. So I just leave my face for your imagination. Okay. So so again, thank you very much again, Atcha, for inviting me to this one. And actually, for topic for today is basically cybersecurity for developers, right? So this is actually this specific topic is really close at heart for me, because I actually, although I'm not a full-fledged cybersecurity specialist, but I want to make sure that that all developers should have a better understanding on how to write secure code, right? And just like what Atcha has mentioned, so I work for Amazon Web Services as a developer specialist solutions architect. So for any customer engagements we're in, we need to have software engineering expertise. That's where I come in. Okay. So by the way, so if you have any questions, so just post your questions on chat, and then I'll check it out after the presentation. Okay. So so just a little bit about me. So I've been a software engineer for 17 years now. Just goes to show how old I am right now. But I've been building on AWS since 2009. So that was the time we're in. AWS were quite simple back then. We only have EC2 and S3 and EBS back then. But now we have around 200 plus services nowadays. And I used to be a software engineering manager. So I manage a team of developers who built fintech products. Hopefully, some of you guys in the call is using Maya, or formerly called PayMaya. So I've been part of that team who actually built the backend for that one. And I've joined AWS right after that, and I've been working for AWS for 3.5 years now. And my main goal is actually to share all of my learnings throughout my experience and help my customers whenever they have issues. Okay. All right. So let's kick things off on the topic. No. So probably I'm not sure, but most of the attendees here is a good mix of students and professionals, right? But definitely for professionals, you've probably heard about a terminology called shift left, specifically shift left security. No, so let me just talk a little bit about what is this concept. Okay, so in a gist, the idea of shift left security is moving the attention to security to the earliest possible point of our SDLC. So for students who doesn't know what SDLC is the software development lifecycle. So as you can see on your screens right now, this is actually the typical stages of software development, right? And what the shift left mentality advocates is that we have to make sure that during the left part of things, wherein we do plan, code, build, and test, we should start criticizing our security posture as early as that one, no? Because on the traditional way of doing things, security is often checked only after the software delivery na. Okay. So another way of looking at the shift left security model, right? So as you can see here, we have the blue. I have the blue diagram here, which pretty much shows the traditional model. The traditional model of software development is that during the design and build and test, we don't actually criticize the security. Okay, and oftentimes the security is only checked during the time that's about to be released. No, so as you can see, there's a sharp curve of attention to security during the release stage. Right? Now, for the shift left security, as you can see here, is that as early as design and build, we actually start to check the security posture of our code, right? So now, the main benefit for this one is that we're not cramming for the security checking during the release stages, no? So because we actually integrate our security processes as early as we can. Okay, so that's the concept of it. Now, for developers, no. So does this mean that it's going to be more work for us? Kasi, diba? For software engineers on the call, diba? So you probably heard about the top job descriptions such as full stack engineer, right? So full stack engineers are now tasked to build not just the front end but also the back end, right? And in some roles also tells that a full stack engineer should be the one who's going to deploy the code, no? But when I'm saying that it's a shift left security, that also means that, sorry. Is there a question?
Yeah, medyo nagcha-choppy ka.
Medyo nagcha-choppy?
Yes.
Wait, how about now?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, sige. So, where was I? Okay, so So di ba some terminologies of full stack development is wherein you actually required to do both the front end and the back end, no? But what I'm saying here is that even the security part should be the responsibility of the developers now. Okay, so you might be working with InfoSec team, pero technically security is actually everyone's responsibility, no? Now, what does it mean for us builders, no? So first, for me, shifting security to the left is basically an investment in order to sleep better. Okay, so why did I say that? So actually a lot of times during my career, most of my sleepless moments was that is actually during the times that there's actually some security attacks or security security issues that we have on our production, no? So the problem with that is that if you weren't able to fix your security vulnerability when it went to the production, no, so it will require you to fix the security issue in real time as much as you can, right? And at the same time have to write your own incident reports, di ba? And then at the same time you also have to tell your customers about what happened, no? So whenever you do that, then hindi lang yung user experience but also yung customer trust from your project will be reduced, no? Kasi you had a huge security issue. So also there's also always a study that it's always cheaper to fix security issues earlier, no? So actually once we share this deck, so there's actually a link right down on my slide that there's actually a study conducted by NASA that security issues and bugs that is not fixed during the development, the cost of fixing that errors is actually gets more and more expensive, no? So as much as possible, we want to detect any security vulnerabilities as early as we can. Okay, and also there's also another benefit here, faster time to market, no? So well, why and how did I say that? Kasi one of my key experiences back then is that I used to work with InfoSec teams, right? And I manage my software engineers. So pag once tapos na yung software engineers on their sprints, no, and then turning that over to the InfoSec team to test for any security vulnerabilities, unfortunately nagkakaroon na pabalik-balik, no? So kunyari InfoSec team tells us that okay, your API has some problem with regards to cross-site request forgery, no? So and the problem with that is that yung development life cycles nyo nadadagdagan kasi we even have to create our own additional sprints just to fix the security issues, no? So as much as possible, if you're able to detect and fix these issues during the development stage pa lang, could equate to faster time to market. Okay, and of course in something related to that is that there's actually a less friction between security and development teams, no? So kadalasan meron tayong sinasabi dyan, meron sinasabi mga developers ko dati na the InfoSec is a department of no, no? But it's not necessarily like that kasi it's their job to make sure that everything that we release are secure, no? So if you actually give some level of responsibility in terms of security developers, will actually make it more harmonious relationship between your security team and the development team. Okay, and also with the advent of DevOps, most of it can be automated in many ways nowadays. Okay, so just one quick check, Atcha. So is still my voice still clear?
Yes, Alvin, all clear.
Okay. Okay, so now you know the shift left concept, no? So let me talk about how is this being implemented. So actually, all throughout the SDLC process, as you can see here, let me just turn on my laser pointer. So actually, all throughout the SDLC process, there's actually a lot of security processes and tools that you can actually integrate, no? But for today's lesson, so I'll just be talking more about on the left part of it. Okay, so starting from plan, wherein we typically do our architecture design and sprint planning, code process and code step wherein we actually start writing the code, no? And then on the build step, this is actually where we start compiling or packaging our software for deployment. And then the test is basically where we do UAT, SIT, and all of things. Okay, so all throughout this left part of things, there's actually multiple security processes and tools that we can implement. Okay, for us to be able to practice cybersecurity on the developer side of things. So let's start off with the plan stage. And one of the things that we can do on the plan stage is threat modeling. So threat modeling, we can actually do a quick Google search right now to talk, to know more about threat modeling is. But in a gist, this is actually a design time activity wherein we identify potential security issues before we actually write code. No, so the main benefit here is that, kasi diba, whenever we start writing code, once we have the requirements, we're too excited to start writing code without thinking about non-functional requirements like security requirements. No. So with threat modeling, we actually start criticizing the requirements and see if there's any potential security issues there. No, and one of the processes that you can do is doing threat modeling. So threat modeling is actually this is where you define yung assets, meaning yung assets ng application nyo. So let's say for example, the login page, the database, etc. Actors, meaning the types of the people is going to use your application. The entry points, which is actually your surface area, components, and trust level. So let's say, for example, if you have multiple users and then they have varying levels of privileges on your app, no? On these kinds of things needs to be defined as early as possible. And then once we have that, we actually start listing the threats and also identify mitigations per threat. And ultimately, we create a risk matrix. Okay. Now, there's actually nothing right and wrong whenever you do threat modeling, but typically this is actually expressed through data flow diagrams or maybe mind maps or simply in a table form. No. Now, one of the biggest advantages of doing threat modeling is that if you do it along with your testers and your security engineers, it will actually help them. To better understand what you're building. No, for them to be able to create more targeted test cases and more targeted security tests, no? Kasi ang problema is traditional approach, we turn over na natin yung code natin sa InfoSec team, tas kayo nang bahala dyan, no? But having that modeling exercise and bringing in your security team, they will have a better idea of how they can exploit your code. Okay. Now, how does it look like? No, it can be implemented in a simple table form. So as you can see here, I have two matrices here. So I have the threat ID, no, and the asset would be the user account in this case, and the main entry point is the login page. And along with your security team, you can actually define that ano ba yung mga potential na pwede mangyari dito on our login page. And of course, the attack summary here would be being able to hijack someone's account and conduct malicious activities. So ano yung mga techniques on how to do that? So definitely brute force attacks, meaning having attackers to continuously guess your password, you know. And then the other one is password dumps, which is actually quite common. So if you go to dark web, there's actually people there who sells username and passwords that was farmed from other websites, no. And unfortunately, a lot of people are using the same username password. So as much as possible, you should have different passwords for each web application that you use, no? Another thing is session hijacking and phishing, okay? And once you have identified these threats and the potential attack parameters, then that's actually where you define kung yung mga techniques to be able to prevent or correct those security issues, no? So let's say, for example, implementing multi-factor authentication, no? So I'm pretty sure everyone knows about this, that some web properties, whenever you log in, you're going to be sent by an SMS with a PIN, no? And then use that PIN to as a second layer of defense to your account, no? Another one is password lifecycle and rules. So make sure that the passwords are more complex and they had to be replaced maybe every 6 months or so. Secure generation of session IDs. I think you will have a better idea about session IDs once I do a little bit of demo later on, and etc. Okay, so this is actually what the threat modeling does. And what's good here is that once you have identified these specific threats and controls, you will be able to create additional user stories for your sprints, no? So kasi ang problema is that if we didn't do threat modeling, kadalasan nito makikita na lang to pag mag-release na tayo, no? So ideally dapat nagawa na natin to para maayos na agad. Okay? All right, so let's move on to the code stage. So this is actually where we start writing our software. So there's actually multiple ways to make sure that the way you write code is more secure, no? So first of all is an IDE security plugins. So depende kung what is your favorite IDE. I myself use Visual Studio Code, no? So there's actually multiple solutions that can actually integrate, or plugins that can actually integrate to your IDE. And one of the good examples here is Snyk. Okay, so Snyk is actually a security service that actually provides a plugin to your IDE that actually checks the code as you write it. Okay, so habang tinatype pa lang, and then it was actually able na, hey, the software, this piece of code that you're writing is susceptible to SQL injection. No, so what's good here is that this one will actually detect low-hanging security fruits as low-hanging security issues, and allows you to fix that right away before it gets to your source code repository. No, so but this one is actually voluntarily. So if you're a tech manager or software engineering manager, just make sure that your team has this installed on their own respective IDEs. Okay. Another thing is pre-commit hooks. Okay, so I'm not sure if everyone knows in the call as a tool called Git. Okay, so if you heard, I'm pretty sure ibang iba narinig na yung GitHub, no? So in GitHub is is actually based on Git. It's actually a source code repository. Okay, Git is actually one of the de facto source code repository tools nowadays. So if you're a student, you should make sure that you understand this, no? But actually, one of the biggest problems with Git, especially with people, multiple developers using Git, sometimes whenever they commit their code, minsan nasasama yung mga credentials, no? So one of the common attacks or common mistakes is that may mga developers na nagko-commit ng mga username passwords tapos nakalagay dun sa Git. And unfortunately, GitHub pa, no? So public yung repository. So there's actually a lot of hackers that actually scrape GitHub to continuously look for these credentials and use them against you. And actually may kwento ako dito eh. So I used to be a software engineering manager, tapos meron ako isang developer who actually writing a piece of code that interacts with S3, no? Amazon S3. And unfortunately, yung access keys tsaka yung secret ID for that application to be allowed to use S3, nasama niya ron sa Git at na-commit niya at na-push niya ron sa GitHub. Okay? So in a matter of minutes, maya may taga AWS support na tumawag sa akin. I was driving back then na telling me that my AWS account has been compromised. Okay, kasi may nakakuha daw ng access key and secret access key. So I have to take action para makuha ko ulit yung AWS account. So just imagine the panic that I had, no? So I had to stop midway in a highway and then make sure that my AWS account is secure, no? So that's why it's really important as a developer to not commit these credentials in your source code repository. Okay? So one of the anong technique doon for you to prevent yourself from doing that. So one is using pre-commit hooks. What pre-commit hooks does is that whenever you do a git commit, may specific script na mag-run and it will scrape your code kung merong mga credentials na nandoon na nasasama. So let's say for example, SSH keys or access tokens, kung nakukommit yon, mag-warning agad yan at mag-fail yung git commit. Okay? So and that way you can prevent your credential leakage. Okay? And there's actually multiple tools for that. So may Git Secret, Truffle Hugs, or GitHound, and most of them are open source anyway. Okay? So make sure that you know these tools. And then another one is storing secrets securely. So marami na ako nakita mga projects wherein, let's say for example, di ba, whenever you create a web application, most of the time this web application will have to connect to the database, no? And for that application to connect to the database, they need the username and password, no? And typically ginagawa ng mga developers, yung username password nakalagay sa config file. And this config file is in clear text. Okay? Now, ano yung problem doon? So let's say for example, someone managed to get into your server. So all you have to do is just open that config file. They will actually can clearly see the username and password of your database and make malicious activities. Okay? Now, what can you do to be able to make your configurations more secure? One way is actually to moving that configuration somewhere else. Okay, so there's actually multiple tools like that. So merong AWS Secrets Manager, HashiCorp Vault, or Confidant. Okay? So meaning, ito yung sensitive credentials or sensitive configurations will be stored here, and it will just be collected by the application during runtime. Okay? So meaning wala kang config file na clear text na pwede mabasahin ng hacker anytime. Okay? So just make sure that you're aware of this, and especially if you're a student developer right now, you have to make sure for you to understand this, kasi oftentimes for new fresh grads, they're not aware of this. Hard code nila yung mga database passwords nila, which is a no for me. Okay. All right, so let's move on to build stage. So this is actually where we start compiling and packaging our software. No. So there's actually multiple ways, multiple tools that can integrate here. One technique is called static application security testing, or static code analysis. Okay, so what does the SAST does is that it actually scans your code and makes sure that and checks if there's any potential security vulnerabilities on your code. Okay, so there's actually multiple tools for that. So it's AWS. We have a native tool called Amazon Code Guru. We also have SonarQube and Checkmarks, which actually I used previously on my previous jobs, and Snyk as well. Okay, so ang kagandahan dito, this one is can be integrated to your CI/CD pipeline and be run automatically whenever there's a developer actually commits the code. Okay, so this one is actually quite familiar with the IDE security plugin, but what happens here is that this is going to be run once the code has been committed and once the code is going to be packaged. Okay, so and it can actually detect low-hanging vulnerabilities such as SQL injections, cross-site scripting, and hard-coded passwords. Okay, so if you are a tech lead, make sure that you're aware of these things. All right, then another one is software composition analysis, or SCA. Okay, so it actually becomes more and more important nowadays, kasi whenever we write code, circa 10 years ago, starting from now, no? So most of our code is 90% came from open source libraries, no? And 10% is actually our own code talaga. Now, what's the issue with that, no? Although yung open source libraries allows you to write software very fast because you don't have to write frameworks by yourself. But unfortunately, with these open source libraries, minsan may mga vulnerabilities na hindi ka alam, okay? That you're actually including to your software. One very popular vulnerability nowadays that has swept the internet by storm 6 months ago is the log4j vulnerability, no? Yung log4j is basically a very popular logging framework for Java, okay? Now, unfortunately, if you're using log4j, you're actually susceptible to remote code execution, meaning hackers can actually execute remote code to your server if you're using log4j. Okay, so now how can you protect yourself against this potential security vulnerabilities, no, from using open source libraries? So you can actually implement software composition analysis. So there's multiple tools for that. We have OWASP dependency check, BlockDoc, and Snyk. Okay, so some other programming languages like Python, they have multiple tools for that, like Safety or Bandit. For Node, kung Node.js developer kayo, there's this thing called npm audit. Okay, so ang ginagawa niya, babasahin niya yung dependencies ng application mo, and then we'll check against the database if you're using a library that are susceptible to a security vulnerability. Okay, so this actually started to become really important nowadays kasi a lot of us are have started using open source libraries. And then another one is license checking, no? So although this is actually quite optional, but depending on your organization, if you're not allowed to use specific software licenses, you can actually implement license checking on your software development process. And what it does is to check if the software licenses that you're using on your dependencies are compliant. Okay, so I actually used to be part of an organization that we're not allowed to use any software licenses that are copyleft. Okay, so for people who are not aware of what copyleft license is, so copyleft license is actually an open source license, no? But there's actually a caveat there. So you can actually use that let's say for example, you can use that library. But if you use a copyleft library, you're actually obliged to open source your project as well. Okay, so that's what we call copyleft license. So for companies that have intellectual property that they need to protect, so they want to make sure that their developers doesn't use any software licenses that are copyleft. Okay, and since we're actually using a lot of open source libraries or dependencies, then it might make sense for us to check our software licenses. So may multiple tools for that. So may Black Duck, or if you're using Python, can actually use Python license check. Okay. And then lastly, let's move on to the test part. Okay. Now, so I've already introduced to you the tools, no, to make sure that the way you write code is much more secure, diba? But what would be the next step, no? So let's say for example, you have mitigated potential security risks, no? You have actually adjusted your code to make sure it's more secure. Now, the next question would be is that how can I validate if the security fix that's actually really lang. I just need another step is actually to validate kung gumagana ba yung security fixes mo, no? So one step would be is actually to do dynamic application security testing, or DAST. Okay, and most often times you hear about penetration testing, no? In penetration testing this is actually done during application runtime. Okay, so meaning once your application is already running, this is actually you start testing and running penetration tests. And what it does, it using a software, it will run all of the well-known security exploits against your application. Okay, and it will give you back a report whether kung secure ka ba, or meron bang specific pa na mga security vulnerabilities that hasn't been addressed. Okay, so there's actually multiple solutions for that. One is OWASP, which is actually a de facto tool, open source to, okay to. I always use this. And then there's also other enterprise tools such as Insight AppSec or Burp Suite. Okay, so this is actually one of the key tools that your InfoSec team uses to validate your security fixes. But what I'm saying here is that nothing stopping you as a software developer to start testing your code as you run it locally on your laptop, no? Kasi yung OWASP naman open source naman to no? And also one thing that I do is that I actually integrate OWASP to my CI/CD pipeline, so that whenever may developer na magko-commit, pag deploy sa staging, automatically i-run yung mga penetration test para makita na agad yung mga potential security issues. Okay? All right, so that has been a mouthful. So but hopefully you have a better idea of what security processes and tools that you can make you a better developer, no? But the next question would be that okay, Sir Alvin, there's actually a lot of things that I have to introduce and a lot of processes that I have introduced to my development team. So will that affect my delivery dates? Kasi dagdag load sa atin to, di ba? But just like I said, no. So although this processes and tools are quite important and also a good investment for your well-being as a developer, the next question will be is that how do we scale this? How can we make sure that it won't affect our team velocity that much? No. The next would be is for you to make sure that you're actually implementing DevOps. No. So DevOps for students who doesn't know what DevOps is that if you start working in the industry, let's say for example, once you graduate and then start working as a software engineers, no, you oftentimes you'll be working with teams that has a CI/CD pipeline. Okay, a CI/CD pipeline, it looks like this, no. So what happens here is that once the developer commits his code, let's say for example from this source code repo, the CI/CD pipeline can automatically run these security tools for you. Okay? So instead na yung developer pa yung bahalang mag-run manually, no? Or kailangan pa ng tester or kailangan pa ng InfoSec na kakalibitin na, wait, tapos na ako sa code ko, so can you kindly test, no? So what the DevOps does is actually automate this manual task to make sure that we can actually release our software faster. Okay? And as you can see here, the security tools that I just talked about, like SEA, can be automated by your CI/CD pipeline, no? And also can also automate. Can also use your CI/CD pipeline to automate the penetration tests, no? And using any kind of CI/CD pipeline, you can actually CI/CD tool, you can actually integrate these tools so that you don't so that whenever there's a developer actually commits the code, the security test will be done in real time, no? And it will give you a close to real time feedback na meron tayong issue. Okay? Now, if you ask me, ano ba yung CI/CD tool na gagamitin ko for me to be able to integrate these tools? Now, I have to say, you can actually use what you're comfortable of, no? So there's actually multiple CI/CD solutions. So if you're looking at AWS native CI/CD solutions, so we have this thing called AWS Code Pipeline and AWS Code Build. Okay, that can actually act as your CI/CD system and automate this stuff for you. Okay. Now, there's actually other open source tools for you to be able to build your CI/CD pipeline. So there's always Jenkins, no? So for some people that are have been in the DevOps industry for quite a while, Jenkins is actually a de facto open source tool that you can also use. So you can also integrate these tools to Jenkins, or maybe GitLab CI, no? Or if you're using GitHub, you can also use GitHub Actions, no? So again, these tools can be integrated depende kung anong CI/CD pipeline that your team wants to use. Okay, but if you want to have a more native solution, something that you don't have to manage, then you can actually take a look at Code Pipeline and Code Build. Okay, although I'm not forcing you to do so. Okay, so now we have automated these security checks as much as possible. Then the next thing is that I'm actually an advocate telling that all of the developers should have at least an understanding about OWASP Top 10. Okay? Now, yung OWASP Top 10 is actually is an internet organization that continuously monitors and ranks the top 10 most common web vulnerabilities. Okay? So as you can see on your screens right now, so ito yung huling publication ng 2017. Ito yung pinaka-common na web vulnerabilities, and as of 2021 they actually updated it, no? So as a developer or even as a student right now, you have to be real and you have to read OWASP Top 10. Okay, so not just read about don't just read about the exploit itself, you should also have to learn how to mitigate against it. Okay, so if you go to this link, yung OWASP.org, and go to the project Top 10 page, it will give you a better understanding of how does it work, how the exploit works, and how to mitigate against it. Okay, and also if you're going to work on a financial institution, no, it oftentimes some regulations actually requires the developers to undergo a knowledge training about OWASP Top 10. No, so again, it's also a good for you to become a more well-rounded developer. I always suggest go to this page and study OWASP Top 10. Okay, and then if you're looking for other more generic security and security publications, no, kasi this one is very specific to web applications. There's also this thing called SANS Top 25 most common software vulnerabilities. Okay, so I'll show you that link later on. Okay, all right, so OWASP Top 10 addressed. So as a developer, you should be able to have an understanding of this. And also, why am I also advocating this? No, kasi in software industry, whenever you write code, uso na yung code reviews. No, so there's going to be somebody else who's going to review your code, not just for correctness but also for security. Okay, so for you to be able to be a more secure code reviewer, you should have a better understanding about OWASP Top 10 or SANS Top 25. Okay. And then another one, as a developer, you should have a better understanding how these exploits work. Okay, so there's actually many publications on the internet that you can actually study on how to what do you call this one, how to do exploits. Paano ba ginagawa ng mga hackers yan? And you'll be surprised how simple it is. Okay, so actually just for me to drive the point today, I'm going to show you a demonstration of an exploit. Okay. So let me just stop midway here, and then let me just show you a web application that I created to clearly show how these exploits work. Okay. Okay lang. Cancel ko. Atcha, can you still see my browser?
Yes, I can.
All right. So, although I actually have this web application running. So, although how many people do we have in the call right now? So, we're around 400 plus, no?
Yeah.
So, you can actually access this link. So, Atcha and Danica already published it in the chat, no? For you to visit. Pero ang problema ko baka bumagal to eh, kasi isang instance lang tong ispet niran ko, tapos 500 siguro yung matatry. So, but let me just show you how it works, no? So this is actually a web application that I created to clearly show you how dangerous these exploits are. Okay, so if you go to the about page, okay, so it will give you a little bit of background about what the web application is. So this web application is written in Python using the Flask web framework. So for any Python developers here, Flask web framework is actually quite popular, no? And then the Flask framework actually uses a Jinja templating engine. Okay, so for developers in the call, so kung sino familiar sa MVC framework, no? So the MVC framework, this is actually where the web application generates the HTML on the server side, no? And if you're using Flask, typically ang default na default na HTML framework, HTML templating framework for that is Jinja. Okay, and here we actually have two types of users. So the bad guy, which will be our actor, no? So ito yung username, password niya, username bad guy, password bad guy, and then we have a user called John. Okay, so yung John, ito yung isang valid user, and we'll try to steal this do some malicious attacks from this user. Okay, now if you go on the topmost side, so go to OS top 10 examples and go to injection page, you're going to see something like this, no? Very simple lang siya. So if I type in my name here, it will just give me a simple hello world page, no? So sabihin na niya, hello Alvin. Okay? Now, this specific page is actually a demonstration of an injection attack. Okay? Now, an injection attack, you often hear about SQL injection, no? Kadalasan tinatanong yan sa mga interview, no? But injection attacks can come in many forms. Okay? So, hindi lang siya SQL injection attack. Dito, this is a certain demonstration of a server-side template injection or SSTI. So I can actually open a new tab and show how server-side template injection works. But this specific attack is actually quite popular for web applications that use MVC frameworks. Okay, meaning this is actually where the HTML is generated on the server side. Okay. Now, if you remember, na sinabi ko, this web application is written, uses Jinja HTML templating engine. Okay, so if I show you an example of a Jinja template, as you can see here, let me just show you this link to you. And one of the key examples here is that ito, nasa na ba example dito? HTML. So as you can see here, meron tayo itong HTML template. Okay? So tapos, if you're using a Jinja templating framework, so if you want to insert dynamic code, so as you can see here, to be able to get an output from your application to be included to your HTML, typically we use a double curly brace here, no? And that's actually a directive for the HTML templating engine to get the variable from Python and include it on the template on the HTML code. Okay? Now, kung alam ng hacker na naka-Flask ka tapos Jinja templating framework mo, they can actually use this against you. Okay? So let me just show you how that works. So, if I go back here on this page and alam ko na I can actually execute Python code by using a double curly brace, no? Dito. Tapos let's say for example, I'll do a 7 multiplied 7 asterisk 7. Okay? So this is actually a valid Python code, no? So if you click submit, ano yung napansin nyo? No? So ang ginawa niya, kinalculate niya. No? So 7 times 7 is 49. Now, what's the biggest problem here? So if you've noticed, ito yung tinatawag natin na remote code execution. Meaning the hacker was able to insert a specific Python code and have it executed to your server, which is actually quite dangerous. Okay. Now, although harmless tong demonstration ko, but let me just show you one example. Let's do something more damaging, no? So I'll paste copy this code and then I'll paste it here. Okay. So yeah. So let's say for example, nalaman na ng hacker na uy, ano pala to? Gawa pala sa Python tong web application na to. And it uses a Flash framework. Now, I was able to validate my theory that this is actually susceptible to SSCI. So I can actually use a piece of code that like this one, no? So meaning from the request object, I can derive the application object, and then as you can see here, meron ako nitong import na directive, and I'll be importing the OS library for Python, no? Tapos on this OS library, may function, mayroong diyang function that I can use called popen. Okay? Yung popen is actually a feature of the OS standard library in Python that allows you to run shell commands from Python. Okay? And ang nirun kong shell command dito is ls. Okay? So for people that are Linux practitioners here, no? So ls is actually list directory. Okay? Para makita ko yung directory of the currently running web application. So if I click submit here, ayun, boom. Nakita ko na yung mga files ng laman ng server, no? So dito pa lang, nakita ko pa lang dito na most likely yung web application code, ang pangalan nito app.py, obviously, di ba? So ang next na gagawin ng hacker diyan, I'll use the same technique, no? And then I'll just change my shell command from ls. I'll change it to cat app.py. So for me to echo yung laman ng app.py, and then click submit, and then boom, kita ko na yung source code ng web application mo. Okay? Now, this is actually quite dangerous, huh? So there's actually a way to bring down this web application by just using the same technique. Okay? So as a developer, you should be aware of how these things work. Of course, if you're a developer, paano mo naayos to? Diba? Para maayos yan, kailangan nyo ng input validation. Okay? To make sure na hindi ma-allow yung mga ganitong klaseng input. Alright? Now, let me move on to broken authentication. No? So, yung broken authentication is actually also an OWASP top 10 vulnerability wherein some web applications are generates session tokens that are insecure. Okay. Now, for people that are not aware what a session token is, a session token is whenever you authenticate to a website, no, using your username password, the website will respond back with a session ID or a session token. Okay, and this session token is actually stored on the browser cookies. Okay, and then pag once authenticated ka, yung next corresponding interactions with your browser to the backend, it will actually send that token to make sure that para malaman ng server na, uy, si Alvin to, or si Mark to. Okay? Now, unfortunately, some websites actually implement session ID insecurely. Okay? So let me just show you one example. So let's say, for example, I log in as bad guy, no? Just type in bad guy and bad guy here. Okay? So I was able to log in successfully, as you can see. Now, ang gagawin ng mga hacker, I will turn on the tools. I-on ko yung web developer tools, the browser, no? And I'll just click reload. And as you can see, karamihan ng mga popular web browsers, may mga tools like this, no? Ang next na gagawin niya, babasahin niya yung laman ng cookies mo. So in Firefox, you can go to the storage tab, as you can see here. And as you can see, there's actually a cookie here called session ID, no? So the session ID, as you can see, isa siyang parang encrypted string, no? Na nanggaling sa server yan. So mangyayari, once authenticated, every time na ibabrowse pa yung website na to, this token will be sent back to the server to validate your credential, no? Now, ang gagawin ng hacker diyan, it will try to understand kung paano na-generate yung token mo. Okay? And typically the tokens are encoded using base64. Okay? So ang gagawin ng hacker diyan, kakopy ko to. Sige, let's understand kung paano to na-generate. Tapos punta ako sa base64 decode.com. Okay? So may mga tools na ganyan. And just paste the session token here and then decode. I mean, as you can see, yung session ID was actually composed of a JSON string, as you can see here, no? So a username, bad guy, tas timestamp. This is the time that the hacker logged in, no? Now, ano yung nakikita niyo maling-mali dito? Okay? Now, the biggest problem here is that the JSON object that was used to generate the session token is very predictable, no? Walang randomness. So ang gagawin ng hacker diyan, ang simple lang pala pag-generate ng token. So let me just impersonate as John, no? Change my username to John. I'll copy this JSON string. Tapos punta naman ako sa encode. Mag-generate ako ng bagong session ID na this time tampered with. So I'll paste it here and then click encode. So ang mangyayari, may bago na akong session ID, may bago na akong session token na tampered na. And then I'll head back to this website. I'm currently logged in as bad guy, as you can see here, no? So I just change my session ID, paste, enter, and then refresh. Ayun. So basically, we were able to hijack John's account. Okay? So ano yung lesson dito? So if you're going to generate session IDs whenever you create web applications, you have to make sure that these session IDs are generated securely. Okay? There needs to be some sort of randomness. Okay? Para hindi basta-basta matamper lang yung session. Okay? So that's actually a demonstration of a broken authentication. Okay? Now, another thing that's quite interesting, let me just show you here, is called cross-site scripting. Okay? Now, you might have heard about what cross-site scripting is, no? But I want this to be more interactive, so I want you to do this along with me. Okay? So if you have the link open to your browsers right now, a cross-site scripting vulnerability is where the attacker is able to run client-side JavaScript to your pages. Okay? Now, you might think na okay, yung server side, yung client-side JavaScript is harmless naman yan kasi sa browser lang nagaran yan, no? Pero actually, there's actually a lot of creative ways of using client-side JavaScript, no? So just imagine, let's say for example, meron kang website, di ba? Tapos yung website mo may multiple users ka. And then let's say for example, if an attacker manages to inject a client-side JavaScript, let's say for example on one of your comments dun sa forums, and then once it gets rendered on the other users, that client-side JavaScript can farm and steal their session IDs. Okay? Tapos kung nanakaw na yung session IDs, then they can impersonate as someone na. Okay? So let me just show you how that works. Although ang mangyayari dito sa akin, hindi gagana kasi itong laptop ko may endpoint security ako eh. Okay? But I just want to make sure that this one works with you. Now, let's test the hypothesis kung this page is susceptible to cross-site scripting. Now, meron akong isang paste na piece of JavaScript code sa chat that I want you guys to try. So I'll paste it in the chat right now. So paste ko doon sa chat. Para kung makita yung chat dito. Alright, so I pasted the JavaScript code dito, doon sa chat natin. And I want you to try here. So make sure you go to cross-site scripting, tapos paste yung yung code na yan. If you click submit, in my case, hindi gagana. Okay? Kasi may endpoint security ako eh. Okay? Pero kung gumana yan, it's gonna look like this, no? It's gonna look like this. So let me just show you ano magiging output niyan. So may lalabas na ganito. 'Di ba? May alert box na lol. Can anyone say yes on a chat kung gumana sa inyo? Kung gumana ba sa inyo? Okay. Now, ano yung danger dyan, no? So that actually validates the hypothesis that this web application is susceptible to cross-site scripting. Okay? Now, as a bad guy, ang gustong gawin ni bad guy, nanakawin ko yung session ni John. Okay? So that I can impersonate as him. And nag-time out sa akin kasi meron akong endpoint security. So balik ako doon, no? So punta akong cross-site scripting ulit. Tapos I'll paste another code here. So may bibigay ko sa inyong code. Give me a sec. Saan na ba yun? Kaya lang. Lagi ko kasing tabs eh, sorry. Give me a sec. Let me just show you, give you a piece of code. Ayan, ito. Kakopy ko to. Tapos i-paste ko ron sa chat. Okay? Ayan, may pinis ako na bagong JavaScript code dun sa chat. Okay? So, that I want you guys to try. So, if I go to this page and then paste it here, no? And then, bago ko i-run yan, although hindi rin gagana sa akin yan, may nakakita na ba ng code sa chat? Wala daw yung code. Kasi mukhang ano yata to. Mukhang na-block yata ng ang tawag dito? Na-block yata ng Zoom. How about this one? Nakita nyo? Okay. Yan, nakita nyo na yung pinisi ni Atcha. Wag nyo lang isama yung yung tawag dito, quotation marks. Kuha nyo? Can anyone answer yes or no? Okay, ayan. So ang gawin niyo dito, kunin niyo yung piece of code, pero wag niyo isama yung yung quotation marks, no? Now, anong ginagawa nito? So, this one actually runs this piece of client-side JavaScript. Tapos, sa mga web developers dito, tingnan natin, para saan tong document location? Tingnan natin kung may makakasagot na web developer dito. Para saan yung document location? Paki-answer nga sa chat kung sinong marunong, kung sino nakakaalam kung para saan yung document location. Ayun, tama si Promise, no? So Promise said that document location is a redirect or change page, just like Neil Red also mentioned, no? A document location is basically a browser directive to redirect the current web browser to this URL. As you can see here, itong http://example.com, no? Pero at the same time, habang nire-redirect natin siya, kukunin natin yung document.cookie. Okay? Now, para saan yung document.cookie? 'Di ba? So yung document.cookie is actually a directive for the browser to get the browser cookies and send that somewhere else. Okay? So if you click submit here, although sa akin hindi gagana, pero sa inyo gagana 'yan. Ang mangyayari dito, mariredirect kayo doon sa example.com. So it's going to look like this. Okay? Kung gumana yan, mariredirect kayo sa example.com, and also if you notice on the URL, nakuha na yung session ID mo ng user. Okay? And you can use the same technique to be able to steal someone else's session ID. Okay? And pretend to be someone else. Okay? So yun. And feel free to browse the other examples here if you want to check. No, I'm just mindful of the time, but I'll keep this web application running until tonight if you want to play around. And let me just go to my closing remarks to open up for questions later. Okay? So balik lang ako sa PowerPoint. Quick na lang to. Okay. All right. So let me just end. All right. Now, so now I gave you a better idea of or a better appreciation about how important to be a secure developer, secure code practitioner is. No. So one thing that I also want to show you is that the web application that I've shown you right now is actually a part of a workshop that I authored. Okay. Now, if you want to get your hands dirty, to know the things that I just taught you today, please go to this link, or you can actually just scan this URL and scan this QR code. It will open a browser on a page called Security for Developers. Okay, so this is actually a specific workshop that I authored myself. Ang mangyayari dito is that you're going to practice. We're going to exploit this web application and also going to fix it. Okay. So let me just open this link. Ay lang. I-paste ko tong link doon sa may chat for everyone. Okay. Just give me a sec. Okay. Wait lang ha. I-paste ko tong link doon sa chat for everyone to see. Ayan. So kindly bookmark that page if you want to try it by yourself and matutunan niyo lahat. Okay. And then what the expectation of this specific workshop is that you're going to use the same web application that are vulnerable, and then you're going to implement a CI/CD pipeline that implements all of the things that I taught you today, like yung SASC, yung SCA check, license check, and all that, no? And then fix this code to be promoted to staging environment. Okay? So para matutunan nyo kung paano ba yung DevSecOps, kung paano ba ginagawa yun in real life, no? And this one can be run using your own AWS account. Okay? So now, ano yung expectation ng workshop na to, no? So you're going to create a DevSecOps pipeline, automating the security processes that we discussed today. And then you're going to remediate all of the security findings that I just demonstrated to you today. Okay? Para matutunan nyo paano i-mitigate yun, no? And the main goal is to remediate all of the security findings para pumasa ron sa DevSecOps pipeline. All right? So if you have an AWS account, you can try this. And if you open the page, you're going to see something like this. So let me just show you quickly, security for developers. And so you need to have your own AWS account for this one. You can create you can open an account on AWS. And then pag once tapos na kayo dito, pag once tapos na kayo sa doing the labs, you can actually go to step 10 to clean up. Okay? So that you can quickly delete all of the resources that you have created during the workshop or during the lab. Okay? So I highly recommend you that you take a look at this one, bookmark this, and then if you have an AWS account, try this workshop out. Okay? All right, so I'm on the end part of my presentation, but let me just give you one key takeaway that I always say to my fellow developers. I always say that not everyone is a security specialist, no? But we should all strive to be to a certain capacity, as security is everyone's responsibility. Okay, so if you're a software engineer right now, hopefully I drove the point of how important is application security is. If you're a student, hopefully that give you a better understanding that how can I become a better developer once I graduate. All right. So with this one, I'm open for Q&A. Sorry, medyo sumobra tayo, but hopefully the talks has been quite educational for everyone, and I'm just need some help from Atcha kasi I haven't been looking at the chat if there's any interesting questions there.
Yes, Alvin. Thank you so much, Alvin, for giving us your time tonight for an introduction about cybersecurity for developers. And now I will be opening the chat for any questions for Alvin. So everyone, I know that it's already 7 p.m., but we can still accommodate 2 questions. And after that, Alvin will also give his socials if you have and would like to reach out to him for any of your questions. So for our first question, Alvin, this question came from nung hindi pa nagsa-starting event natin, we already received amounts of questions. So this question is from Miss Carmelyn Thompson. Outside of your team, how much human interaction usually happens with a cybersecurity specialty?
Okay, so how much human interaction? Okay, so now that's actually a good question, no? But typically on a traditional model, wherein, let's say for example, diba, you're working in a big company wherein you have a dedicated InfoSec team, no? So dati, or additional things is that you only interact with your InfoSec team at the tail end of your software development, no? Meaning once the software engineers has finished their sprints and then delivered the artifacts, that's actually where you turn over to the InfoSec team for them to be able to check whether there's some insecurities and run penetration testing. Okay. Now, the biggest concern with that kind of process is that sometimes the InfoSec team doesn't have any idea about the application, no? Kasi tinon over nyo lang eh. So most of the times the InfoSec team will just run penetration tests and then just blindly make recommendations, no? So that's why I'm actually advocating that some of the responsibilities for security should be shifted to the left, meaning to the developers, no? So some of the practices that needs to be that security specialist does, like for example penetration testing, software component analysis, needs to be included to your CI/CD pipeline or your software development process. That way, the needed interactions between the software development team and the InfoSec team will be reduced, okay, and thus reducing the communication overhead. Okay, And also one thing that also I'm advocating is that before you start writing software and whenever you practice threat modeling, I highly recommend to get someone from InfoSec team to attend that meeting. Okay? Kasi the InfoSec team will have a knows what the exploits are, diba? And once they have a better understanding of what you're trying to build, they can actually give you an immediate feedback that, hey, what you're trying to build is susceptible, it might be susceptible to cross-site forgery attack. Okay? So having that knowledge as early as possible before write the code is very important, no? So I'm not saying na hindi na kayo makipag-usap sa security team, no? No, it's not like that. As much as possible, the security team should be involved during the design phase pa lang. Okay? And also find some of the techniques that the security team does and implement that to your CI/CD pipeline. Okay? So that these low-hanging security issues can be found and mitigated early. Hindi pa lang dun sa darating pa sa security team tapos babalikan pa kayo tapos another sprint para mag-isang sprint tayo para maayos na yung security issues, no? Hope that answers the question.
Yes, it definitely did answer the question, Alvin. Thank you so much, and we'll definitely take note of those tips. And of course, oo nga naman na with a team, important talaga na we work together and communicate properly. So very helpful din talaga yung tip na that design phase pa lang, nandun na din yung cybersecurity specialist. And for our second question, what are the notable advantages of AWS security?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What are the notable advantages of AWS security?
Okay. So, well, first of all, if you're running your workloads in AWS, no. So, one of the biggest things that will benefit you is security posture, no. So, let's say for example, if you're running your applications on premise, so you have to be you're actually responsible for the security of your data center, no, making sure that data center is secure. May security guard ba dyan? Wala bang passwords na nakadikit sa mga servers and all that, no? Or maybe mga CCTV. Now, if you're actually hosting your web applications on AWS, then of course those security responsibilities will be offloaded away from you. Okay? Now, but what I'm saying here is that kung nasa AWS ka na, secure na ba ako? No, it's not like that. It's actually a blind belief, no? So, but if you're running your web applications on the cloud, the security responsibility that you have to handle would be your application na lang. Okay? And also the operating system that let's say for example, if you're using EC2 or virtual machine, no? So you're responsible for the security of your operating system and also your application. Okay? But for other security responsibilities like security of the physical security of your of your applications, that's actually offloaded to AWS already. And we have a lot of controls for that. And we actually aligned with popular security regulations to make sure that the things that we do here are secure.
And thank you, Alvin. So again, take note na it's not, when you use AWS, it's not secure agad. So you need to also familiarize yourself with the technology that you are using. And that question is from Danica Ejercito, one of our technical community managers at Edukasyon. So shout out to you. And for our last here from our FB live viewer as well, from Zandrick Rianto Kiyo Kabalagan. Sir, you mentioned earlier about check marks. I want to ask how code bashing can help the development team.
Sorry, code bashing? Code bashing ba?
Yes, yun yung nilagay niya sa question, code bashing.
I'm not sure what code bashing means. So first time ko lang din narinig. But is he on the call? Maybe he can clarify what code bashing is.
Ayan, if you're in the clarify to us or in the chat in the Facebook, can you also expound that? Ayan, someone from our Zoom said maybe bug bashing daw.
Okay, sige. So it could be a bug bashing or maybe a code review, no? Or maybe code bashing kasi may nagre-review ng ibang tao nagre-review ng code mo. Binabash niya. But anyways, so i-compare natin yung static code analysis versus manual review, no? Well, I have to say, you still have to do both. Okay? Kung sinasabi mo na if you already have a static code analyzer using check marks or any other tools, those things can only be detected. Those tools can only detect low-hanging fruits. No, sometimes there's some security issues that are actually underlying. There's actually some security vulnerabilities that actually underlying on the business logic, and that can only be a human can detect. Okay, so that's why I always advocate na okay, kung may checkmark sa tayo, that's fine. That's going to automatically detect maybe around 60% of our security vulnerabilities. But I always say that there needs to be a peer review pa rin. Okay? There needs to be another human to review pa rin. And most of these static code analyzers, minsan nagbibigay yan ng mga hotspots na sabihin nila, sabihin ng tulad to, okay, hindi ko sigurado kung insecure to, pero I recommend ng tool na maybe another human to validate this. Okay? So minsan, these tools will actually point you to the right way, where to take a look at. Okay? So, yun din yung mga advantages doon. So, but I have to say, kung naka-checkmark sa'yo, don't just tell them, okay, naka-checkmark sa kami, so secure na kami. No, it's not like that. So, actually, kung makita mo ron sa may workshop na shinare ko on Module 9, so, once you implement all of those automated security tools, kailangan pa rin ng human intervention. So, on Module 9, meron doon mga software vulnerabilities that human can only detect, and how to fix that also. Okay?
Ayan, thank you so much, Alvin. And I know definitely you guys have a lot of questions. So Alvin, can you please share to them where they can reach out to you for their questions?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, okay, para ba to? So you can actually just send me, add me up on LinkedIn, no? So, I believe searchable naman ako sa LinkedIn. So my name is Alvin Delagon. So you can just look at me at LinkedIn. I'm not a social butterfly, so that's why I don't have any Twitter or Instagram, but you can just look me up on LinkedIn and add me if you have specific questions, no? Or another one is just send me an email, no? So my email is adelagon@amazon.com. All right, and then if I have enough bandwidth, I'll try to help you out. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Alvin, for spending your Friday evening with us. And for everyone who is watching with us right now, we look forward to seeing you again on our next episode of the Siklab Igniter series. And I'll just share my screen, Alvin. Thank you very much.
Yep.
All
So
right,
let me just
everyone. Ayan. And sharing our screen right now. And you're welcome. A lot of people enjoyed your talk, Alvin, and they're also waiting for a part 2. Hopefully, we can also do a part 2 with that. And we're expecting you guys to also join on that event. Okay, let's just wait for our presentation. Ayan. All right, I know you've been looking forward for more of our events with AWS and AWS Siklab Pilipinas. And with that, for me to be able to share with you more opportunities in the cloud, I would just, you can follow my socials. I'll be sharing the slide for my socials. So don't forget to follow my socials, Atcha Abe. I'll also send the link here. So a lot of people are asking where they can watch the replay. It's on my Facebook page right now. You can rewatch it after our live. I will be also uploading it on my YouTube channel. So if it's on the next slide, I also do tech videos. I also do speaking engagement. I also talk about cybersecurity. And if you are not a tech student, I also have a video about introduction to cybersecurity and other tech videos as well. So you can give me a follow. I also do other content aside from tech. I also do entertainment videos. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or if you want to have access to free events with e-certificate, give me a follow on my Facebook page. Ayan. And again, I have learned a lot from this 1-hour tech-driven webinar, and I hope you guys learned a lot too. And again, I am so thankful for our first Siklab Igniter speaker, Alvin Delagon, and everyone for attending tonight. And I want to take this opportunity to invite you all to a photo op, especially we want to keep this memory for having our first successful episode. So I encourage you to please turn on your cameras if you can, so we can also see your beautiful faces. And also, I believe most of you are from different parts of the Philippines, so you can also show us where you are right now, what you're. Ayan, hello.
By the way, Atcha, so I just saw the chat. There was actually a foreigner in the room. I'm very sorry for that, for not being inclusive. But if I wasn't able to get my point across, I highly recommend to go to the link that I shared. to the workshop. So you can actually review it on your own time. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right, Alvin, and thank you so much again for those who are watching with us from another country. Again, you can check this link out if you want to learn more through doing or taking practice into using that link for the workshop. Ayan. All right, everyone. So I'll just open my gallery. Everyone, put on your best smiles. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan, next page. We have over 400. Ayan, so I'll just be sharing my screen. Just keep on smiling, everyone. I want to make sure everyone is included. So ngiti lang po kayo dyan. Ayan, wala na nag-share screen. All right, let me go back. Ayan, and again, ito na, the most awaited part. I mean, the second awaited part, aside from the topic, of course, is the feedback form. Again, thank you, everyone. And if you'd like to receive an e-certificate, only those who will answer the feedback form will be given an e-certificate. And making sure that you have registered in our Zoom link. Ayan, so you can scan this QR code and also our team will send it in the group chat. Or if you like to check and you can just type it on your browser, go to go.edukasyon.ph SIS feedback 1. Again, that is go.edukasyon.ph /SIS feedback 1. So for you to receive your e-certificate, you need to be ready. Need to answer the feedback form. And friendly reminder, please wait 7 to 10 business days and make sure to check your inbox or spam email. And we highly appreciate your patience for waiting for your e-certificate to arrive to you via email. Again, don't forget to answer the feedback form and expect it to arrive within 7 to 10 business days. And of course, I know you want to learn more, and I can definitely feel your excitement. We have a lot of upcoming events for the rest of the month. So make sure you mark your calendars and register, as we also have, yes, we have face-to-face events coming for you soon in the Philippines, okay? And next is to share with you some opportunities aside from attending our events. You can become an AWS certified practitioner for free with the AWS Restart program. So Atcha, what is AWS Restart? AWS Restart is a 12-week full program that prepares unemployed or underemployed individuals for entry-level careers in the cloud. So you will learn how cloud computing works, gain AWS skills, and how to use different programming languages, and also how to build skills aligned with AWS certification in preparation for the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner certification. Yes, it's for free. And you'll also not only gain technical skills, but also soft skills, including effective communication, problem-solving skills, teamwork, and of course, the most important is time management. AWS Restart Scholarships Batch 3 application is still open. Only so again, application is open until September extended, guys. So make sure you apply and invite your friends and colleagues as well. And if you want to learn more about this, apply it through the link www.edukasyon.ph /AWS Restart. Ayan, it's already included in the chat. You can just copy that, save it, bookmark it, and then don't forget to share it to everyone to also have access to this opportunity as well. And next, and if you want to learn more about the cloud, this one is for you. We'll be inviting you to join us in our Cloud Learning Festival 2022. This one is designed for learners of all backgrounds, whether a tech student or not, and we bring you a cloud learning festival across August and September 2022. It's comprising a series of fireside chats, workshops, and webinars. So you already have a glimpse of how it will be for this type of event. You, aside from a webinar, you can also experience workshop when you can do hands-on training and you can talk directly to your mentors. And this is conducted by Amazon Web Services and our supporting organizations, covering broad technology topics from cloud computing to design thinking and innovation. And this event will be in English. So if you are watching from a different country right now, you can also have access to this event. And the registration is free. And everything is for free, and there's no prerequisites for the workshop. You can attend any of the following sessions. Each session will last about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The time zone is in GMT +8, and virtual session links will be sent to you upon registration. So register once for all sessions below. You can see it's already in the chat, www.askmeaboutcloud.com. And wait, there's more. If you have, let me check first now before I continue. Who in here in our Zoom room is an active CIS attendee? Ayan. Who has been watching with us since the year? Let me know by putting it in the chat. I'm also reading our Facebook Live. Who is one of our CIS attendee? Me since day one, says Mark. Ayan. Who else? Who has been our Community Ignite Series attendee? Do we have our CIS top attendee here right now? Ayan. All right. So you're welcome. Ayan. So stay tuned for our 50th episode. So we've been having our Community Ignite series for over a year now, and we would like to invite you on our weekly event at AWS Siklab Pilipinas. So let me just share to you the poster for CIS 53. Ayan. Let's see. All right. Ayan. For our next CIS episode, we'll be learning about deploying containerized applications using AWS Copilot. Our speaker is Gemel Vergara, a cloud solutions designer. So it will be posted later in the evening, so stay tuned for that. The event will be posted in AWS Siklab Pilipinas. You can also check on my Facebook page for the update of the event where you can register. And I'm just going to share with you not one but a lot of events this coming August. For our events this coming August, I would like to share with you our calendar. So today is August 12. We have upcoming events from our community partners. We have an event with Philippine IT Organization in 17. We have another CIS episode at 18. We will be having our hybrid event, Cybersecurity. So this is a face-to-face event. Details will be sent shortly in our Facebook platforms in AWS Siklab. The topic is about tools for building startups. Next is we have an event with MST Connect about the introduction to the cloud. So you can start with this event on August 22 if you want to get started with learning about the cloud. And we have other upcoming events on the 25th and on the 26th with our partners. A face-to-face event with Angular PH and PWA Pilipinas about building your first serverless application and serverless LAMP stack. And again, we'll be having another session about the intro to the cloud. And so kids, so you can also invite your siblings or your other relatives, ages from teenagers would like to learn more about the cloud. So that is youth-friendly topic. And then we'll be having more events every month, every other session for you. Everything is for free. So I hope you really take this opportunity to join us. And again, we would like to thank not only our speaker Alvin, thank you so much, but our co-presenters as well. Thank you Amazon Web Services and AWS Siklab Pilipinas for making these free events possible. And again, guys, this is our first Siklab Igniter series episode, the introduction to cybersecurity for developers. Again, I am Atcha Abe, your host. Don't forget to follow me on my socials if you want to learn more. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you again soon.
Thank you, everyone. Please answer the survey. We continuously iterate on this content. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 16th episode of the Community Ignite series, AWS certification tips and tricks.
So my name is Alvin Delagon, and I'm a solutions architect working for Amazon Web Services. Tips and tricks, strategies, and suggestions that I'm going to state here doesn't guarantee you passing the certification exam. All right. So the content here was developed from my own personal experience and not by Amazon Web Services. So just also a little bit of background. So these techniques that I developed over the years allowed me to pass 7 certifications already. Okay. So sa in-role playing games, so what I'm saying is that first you try to understand what is your enemy is. So you identify the class. So in real life, diba? So what we do is that we identify the pillar. That's actually where we try to identify the objective and the context. Pagdating naman sa AWS certification, this is actually where you eliminate and choose answers. Either submit or mark for review.
Yes, thank you so much to our co-presenters, AWS and AWS Siklab Pilipinas.
Hi, I'm Sunil Yu, creator of the Cyber Defense Matrix. The endpoint is often seen as the front line against many cybersecurity threats. To help manage and secure the endpoint, AWS Marketplace provides many cloud-native endpoint security tools. On the preventative side, AWS Marketplace has a wide range of independent software vendors who provide endpoint protection capabilities, including having an up-to-date device inventory, enforcing configuration compliance, finding and managing vulnerabilities, and preventing malware from taking root on the endpoint. But prevention is never perfect, so it's important to consider capabilities that give you real-time and historical visibility to quickly detect, respond to, and recover from endpoint incidents. Tools in the category of endpoint detection and response, or EDR, help detect unauthorized activities, conduct forensic-level analysis, and facilitate incident response activities to purge intrusions. When combined with the right threat intelligence, these tools can also help you hunt efficiently on your endpoint. Keep in mind that EDR tools don't run on their own, and you need capable administration that can put the tools to use to hunt and to accelerate investigations into security events.